Parker, and the name of my presentation today is Gender Time. And so my study explores messages about gender in children's cartoons, and you're probably wondering why a senior in college is really concerned about watching children's cartoons. And it all started, I have a job on the weekends when I go home to babysit this little girl, and her favorite thing to do on Saturday morning was to watch Saturday morning cartoons like most children. And if I hadn't taken any of Dr. Barton's gender and sexuality classes, I would have never realized what was going on in today's children's cartoons. And then she looked up at me and she's so into Lola Bunny. She's all about her. And she goes, I want to grow up to be just like Lola Bunny. And I'm like, this is a problem. Because if anyone who's watched Looney Tunes knows she's hyper-sexualized in any episode that she's in. And she just plays dumb all the time. And she's always after Bugs Bunny, and she's a love at first sight, and she's damsel in distress, etc. So I'm like, this is a problem, and this is a problem that is happening in other cartoons. And so with the rise of watching television as like the main form of entertainment for Americans, children are beginning to watch TV as early as 18 months. And according to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, a child will spend on average about 3 to 4 hours a day watching television. And so often around those ages, everyone knows that around this time, children's brains are very like Play-Doh, these molds. And so, with that said, these children are often unable to distinguish the fantasy what's being presented on TV versus the real world. And so, with that said, they come to align with what's being presented to them as safe and acceptable as in a real model for their gender. And so, to further that, children aged 2 to 11 are extremely susceptible to the gender stereotypes that are presented in their favorite cartoons. So to base my theoretical framework to base my point is the male gaze theory, and for anyone who doesn't know, gaze by definition is analyzing visual culture that deals with how an audience views the people presented. So when you put male gaze in front of it, it occurs when the camera puts the viewing audience in the perspective of a heterosexual male. And just like anything in our culture today, media, TV, music videos, the news, anything like that is from the perspective of a male gaze. So it's important to see how cartoons are being presented through male gaze theory. So with anyone who's into, well, it's almost common sense that we analyze all of our visual culture, and there's studies done on the effects of video games, the effects of certain like action movies, stuff like that. But there's not really a lot of lit reviews versus on gender in children's cartoons. There's basically just thoughts about it, theories about what's being presented. There's not actually much solid research about what is actually going on. No one's actually taken the time to sit down and analyze children's cartoons, so I took it upon myself to do that. So my methodology is a qualitative study, content analysis of the 3 most watched cartoons as voted on by children, which are the Looney Tunes show, Adventure Time, and the regular show. 42 episodes review and analyze on each of the following: appearance of the female, so their characteristics, frequency of male to female ratio, and the role females play in the story. So my basic findings, and I'll explain all this. So in the Looney Tunes show, I'm going to go first to the female frequency. Of the 19 main characters as listed by the show, 4 out of 19 were female, so less than 21% of the main characters are female. In Adventure Time, 18% were female characters, and then in the regular, 12.5% were female characters. And so the appearance is basically the same through the board. They're sexualized. They're objects of male attention. They basically fit society standards of beauty, small waist, big chest, long legs, stuff like that. The only one that really didn't do that was Adventure Time, where the women were conservatively dressed, but they're objects of male attention, and the fighting that goes on between the two to get that male attention was exceeded. And so the roles that these women played were supporting roles. It helps the male transform and grow as a character and as an individual. Their story is never really told. The female character isn't. She's just kind of in the background. She's in the scenery. in the roles that they are, they're stereotypical, like they're playing, you know, a housewife, they're a nurse, they're working at a diner, things like that. One that was really interesting was Adventure Time, the Princess versus Evil. In that show, there's a lot of princesses that are either good princesses or bad princesses. So in the bad princess, she just gets mad at everything and just blows up and is totally just off the wall. Versus the good princess, which is the damsel in distress, she needs a man to come help her save her, things like that. The one that really surprised me the most was the regular show, and in most of the episodes I watched, there was no female characters to even be seen. The only thing that was even shown at all were the girlfriends, and of course, they were the background drops to help the males transform. So with that said, I've got a short clip to help. This one really shows what's actually going on, and then as soon as I show it to you, I'll analyze what.
Maybe coffee and then spinach.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Should I just describe it? Okay.
Well,
I don't want to close anyone else's project, so I'll just describe it to you all. And so in this particular clip, it's Lola Bunny and Daffy Duck, Daffy Duck's girlfriend. And so they're at this diner, and Daffy Duck's girlfriend is portrayed more of the intelligent one, but she's still, in the background to everything that's happening. And so as they're starting to have a basic conversation, and Lola's had, not Lola, but Daffy's girlfriend has had a long day at work, and so she asked Lola, can I describe to you a situation at work? And Lola's just completely out there. She's like, she has no idea what she's talking about. She's like, okay, let me visualize it. And she goes, what's the name of my customer again? And she's just plain dumb. And so she goes through this visualization of being at work. And so come to find out, Bugs Bunny comes in. And at one point, if I could get it to load up, Lola Bunny's butt is actually being shown. Like, her dress is so high that you can actually see her butt. And so she's completely swooning over Bugs Bunny. She unbuttons her top, all this stuff, and then she loses her identity in the clip in the sense that he basically asks, do you want to marry me? He goes, she says, yes, I'll be Mrs. Customer Service, because she's playing as a customer service. She goes, I'll be Mrs. Customer Service. So she loses her identity in this clip. So to further that, like I said, her appearance is very sexualized. She's an object of Bugs Bunny's male attention and affection. And as I said, she loses her identity. She doesn't even refer to herself as Lola or Mrs. whoever. She does decide to marry Bugs. She says that she's there to serve the customer, and the customer there at the time is Bugs. And she does it at love at first sight. She falls madly in love with him. So my conclusions on this are women are being underrepresented. As I said, their appearance is as a very hypersexualized object. They're not really even seen as humans, just as objects. They're never a main character in the story. Instead, they just play supporting roles. So with that said, they're not represented in a positive manner at all. So with all that said, how this affects young girls is that it's not true as to what's really going on in society. It doesn't help. It affects their personal self-image and their self-confidence. And according to one study I found, young girls who actually watch these cartoons, especially the ones Disney related with like Disney princesses and Snuffle Story, are very likely to experience and stay in abusive relationships. And so to just conclude, I'll leave you with a very straightforward quote. A CBS executive stated, children's television has always been male-dominated, and we provide programming that appeals to boys because they outnumber the girl audience on Saturday mornings. Boys will not watch shows with girl leads, but girls will watch cartoons with male leads.